been how long? Week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks. Yeah, think we are online. Cool. Nice. Let me just quickly test my audio. I have a fan running in the background, so not sure if that's affecting my mic. Let's see. How's this? Testing the mic. Yeah, seems to be fine. Okay. So, let's see. A lot has happened in between last stream and what we have now, because as you can see, the main function has changed quite considerably, and yeah, you might have noticed that we have emscriptons, like defines conditional compilation, which is interesting, and I'll go over everything that I've changed. No worries. But just don't be shocked. Hold your horses. I have ported the engine such that it works in browsers now, which was the big milestone that we wanted, right? Yeah, so the engine currently runs in the browser. Cool, right? I'll try to show an example of that working in a bit. But the reason I've done this all behind the scenes is kind of because I wanted it to work first. I had to show this. Like, I wanted to show this to my colleagues at my internship as one of the last things that I had to do there. So I quickly did this in the background, not streaming, just focusing on the internship. So yeah, I just looked into how emscripton works. We did that in a previous stream as well. One of the first streams I think that I did was reading up on emscripton documentation, seeing how everything worked, which came in handy later. So it was quite simple actually. Most of the libraries we use are native C, C++, so emscripton has no issues converting all of that into WebAssembly. The one thing that I am curious about is performance though, so that'll probably be a topic for a future stream. So before continuing on with the actual topic of this stream, let's just see what changed in the main function. We have these conditional compilation flags now, these ifdefs, where it freaks out if we're actually compiling with emscripton. With the emscripton compiler automatically sets these flags, saying like, hey, we are using emscripton, and you can do stuff depending on if you're compiling on with that compiler or something else. So we're including emscripton only if you're compiling with it. But then for the actual main function, right, game loops and stuff, that's where it gets interesting, because what you need is, when running in the browser at least, the browser requires it wants control over whatever it's displaying. Let's put it that way, right? So if we have this while true or like while running loop that we have here, that's going to make the whole process stutter, because we're not giving the browser enough time to, I don't know, do its own thing. So it's going to forcefully take back control, interrupting this while loop, which will then automatically cause lag. So a way to prevent that, like Emscripten gives you this function where you can set the main loop. And what this does is it mimics this while loop, right, that you have here, while taking into consideration what the browser also needs. All cool and well. But the issue is then you have to provide this with a function. So you can't just have your while loop inside of just main and then expect everything to work. What you do is you take out, I suppose, the part of your update function, right? That does the actual updating. Like, that's one iteration. For us, that's just polling for events, getting in any input, which we don't really have at the moment, calculating the delta time, and updating everything like our user or like recreate in our scenes and scene managers, right? Because this function propagates to all of the scenes. Well, it propagates to the current scene, and the current scene then holds all the game objects with components, and then if you have your script component inside of there as well, then it propagates all the way down to all like the scripts as well. So this is the only thing that's actually game related, kind of, if you want to think of it that way. After that, we have our render function, which is right here. This then renders, like, it clears the screen with this draw color. It renders whatever the scene needs to render, right? And then we have our UI. That's the engine related UI. That's the editor UI class. It renders all of that. And then you have the final result that gets presented. I've for now just removed the render imgui from this render function due to it not being really necessary at the moment, and I'm feeling that we might even remove that just in favor of render inspector. We don't really need game objects themselves creating windows for imgui. That should probably be handled by the editor, and the only thing that the game objects themselves can do is render to an inspector window that the editor owns. That feels better, I think. But yeah, that's most of what happened. Let's see. We've also, like I have also, sorry, added a better example. I removed the test components from the scene that we had used to test out our transform logic. That's old news now, so that went away. What we did, or like what I added, is two game objects, right? One is, as you can see, the script runner, which is this game object. And the only thing that does is it loads in a game object with a script component that points to test.lua. And test.lua contains that one print hello from Lua function call. That's all nice and well. But then we have our second game object, which is the script switcher. This one has a list of paths to some available scripts that we have in the resource folder. Let me just clean this up. Clean this. Here, resources. Right. Here we have a lot of small test, like example functions, or like files, scripts. That's the word. That do kind of interesting stuff. So we have a physics simulation, some flocking voids. We have a gravity simulation where you can add some objects like kind of like meteors or like moons, and then they influence each other's gravity. We have some particle simulations, particle fountains, orbiting particles, some like other particles, right? And then we have a wave painter, which is all just visuals, right? I kind of did this because I had to add the rendering. I think that was the last one that we did, right? Adding the renderer to the Lua global environment. And all of this just uses this one script runner game object to render a lot of stuff every frame to the screen, and that's interesting. It's cool. The global state in Lua now also has access to the SDL get mouse position functionality, so we can do like some stuff with mouse input, which is all nice and well. It's all cool. And then we still have the Hello World parenting example that we have here. I think that's most of what changed, honestly, since the last stream. So if we were to run this, let's see. Let's run. Yes, here we have it. This is supposed to be a play and a pause, which I've added using some ASCII symbols. Or maybe it's not ASCII, that's why it's not showing. Some UTF-8, UTF-16 symbols. So I'm gonna have to change that. I'm gonna probably use some textures for that, but that's not the point. This is a work in progress for one of the first things that I want to do for the next couple of features, which is actually separating the engine from the game, so that we can have like a playing state, pausing, like global pause, and then like stopping the game entirely to be able to edit stuff. But that's a tangent. I'll get back to that in a minute. If we go like script runner, here we still have the edit script window still opens. Oh, also, if you've noticed in the resources I added like this configs thing. Wait, not seeing this here. In the resources, there is this configs folder with an imgui.ini file, which contains the imgui initialization. What do you call it? Initial data for imgui when the program starts. It basically just specifies where all the windows should be and where they should stay docked. So we have this notion of like a default state when opening the editor, instead of it just always reverting back to whatever you left it as. So if I were to just take this and put this here, for example, or like make this smaller. Previously, if I were to close this now, what it would do is it would save this as imgui.ini, and the next time I open this, it would remember where this window was and start back from there, which is not something we want, right? Because why would you want to start with your scene graph here instead of like docked to the side? But yeah, just small little tangents. If we go to the script switcher, let's dock this. Let's see. Inspector panel can go like this. Thank you. So here we have our buttons for all the available scripts, which correspond to the paths you saw in the main function. And if we take 1, hey, we have some interesting stuff, right? Let's see. This is, oh no. Wait. This isn't good. Why is this being... that's why. Yeah, I've had some issues. I was looking into it, like debug and release builds. I think there's something wrong with what I have currently defined as a release build, because for some reason it works way slower than the debug builds. So if I go in here and then do CMake, focus on the project outline, and if I were to change this back into debug, and I rebuild this, yeah, that's something I still have to research, look into why that happens. Kind of weird. Like, why would the release build work worse than the debug one? I don't know, maybe some optimization flags or something that they're like, going wrong, or like not being included. I don't know, it's something CMake related probably. It could also be something like VS Code related. Some weird setting in one of those JSON files. All right, so we go back here and we do this physics. Look at that, way faster. Here, so what this does is like it gives you the ability to just play with physics, right? You have all of these physics balls doing some simple collision detection, and then some strings in between those three. And then you can play, you can just throw them around. All handy, cool, awesome, yay, examples. Then we have our gravity simulation. Not sure if this is very visible, but here, I think those are visible. We can then like influence these like that. Here we have like a gravity field. If you right click, and we have a different type of like, it's pulling and pushing, right? This is pushing, this is pulling. Again, an example, not the most optimized stuff, right? Again, here as well, this is just particles, adding particle effects when what's it called, when left clicking. Yes, it's all cool, right? It all has, it demonstrates that the engine and like the proof of concepts, they work, right? Here you have the flocking voids. It's all very small. Here we add some more voids, and then if I can add some predators as well, right? Going after the voids and eating them. Cool, everything's cool. Here we have orbiting particles, right? Particles get spawned around the mouse, and if they get too close, then they start to fall in. And lastly, we have this particle fountain, right? We have 3 fountains here. There's one there as well, and then one behind the scene graph as well. Then there's like this random wind that kind of affects how everything, like all the particles move. And then if you left click, you make these fiery particles as well. Doesn't really have like a reason or rhyme behind it. It's just an example, right? But yeah, so as you saw, and as you've probably noticed, there are some things that we can still optimize and change about this, and we probably should. One of them is like the debug stuff. Yes, we should be able to build in release mode, and that would probably give us like some easy wins in terms of performance. But other things as well. I think Lua is also garbage collected, right? So maybe looking into how that actually works. What else? Just how the component system and the updating and like searching and finding of components also works, like caching stuff. There's a lot of things to do about optimization. But then there's also I still have to plan like the actual future of Spark and like what we need. And I have this list of features that I want to add, that I should add. But I kinda am lost on what to prioritize. I kind of know what I want to prioritize, but it's just there's a lot of very important stuff, let's put it that way, right? And then there's important stuff, and then there's less important stuff, and then there's the least important stuff. But from all of the most important stuff, I need to be able to pick and choose what I want to do on stream and what I want to do behind the scenes. Ideally, I'd like to do everything in real time and have everything streamed, right? That's the goal. That's what I want. It's just some stuff is more interesting to stream than other stuff, right? See. One second, just setting stuff up. Okay. Yeah. So, let's see. What is it? How do I want to approach this? I think if I open up Obsidian, we could have a nice chat there, right? Making a list of priorities, stuff. Let's see. I want a new thing. Yes. Then we can close this, close that. And if I add this as a source, a window capture, yes, Obsidian. I think you can see this, right? Yeah, but not above my face. Cool. So feature to do. So let's just blurt out the features that we want to add, right? What do I want, right? Let's see. Separation of play and edit modes. For sure. This is one of the high things, right? What else? Separation of play edit modes is one thing. Another idea is optimization. Expanding and refactoring the Lua implementation. That's also something we want. Let's think. What else? Making sure the editor is completely usable through UI at runtime. This is very, very important. So all the user facing, right? All the user... No, what's happening? All the user facing functionality should have a way to be called through UI. Kinda, yeah. That should happen. Now, why do we want this, right? For anyone to make a game in this, and like especially when it's browser based, we want this to be like an actual game engine, right? Something akin to like Unreal and Unity, not something. I don't want it to be something like Raylib, right? Raylib is amazing. It's cool. And it's very polished. But this should be like this program Spark should give people the ability to make their games using Lua and whatever C++ implementations and stuff that we have. Now we could, and we probably should, give people the option to add stuff via C++, something like what Unreal does, right? You have blueprints, and then you have the C++ backend that you get, and that you can expand on and do everything in C++. Awesome stuff, yes. But I would love to like polish the Lua and the front end very much first. People will still be able to add custom C++ functionality, but they have to rebuild. Kind of like this. we might even have a way to not really have the user rebuild. What we could do is we could split the engine that I provide, Spark, using just a static or dynamic library, right? And then what could happen is we could add hot reloading support to this, right? And that would mean that we'd have to separate all user-generated code into, like, when building that would become a DLL, right? So Spark would still say Spark as it's provided, and then everything else that gets added on top would become a DLL that Spark could use, and like, I don't know, that could be packaged with Spark, maybe, I don't know, like that. And I still have to look into how hot reloading stuff works. I kind of have like a vague concept of it, but as you can tell, but that's an idea, and we'll keep that in mind. What else? What do we want? What do we want? Play and edit modes, optimization, expanding, factoring. Input, that's something that's missing. Input handling. Generic event system, yes. I want to have an event system that works cleanly, with little to no overhead, that allows us to listen to events via Lua or via C++. It should all be possible, right? Yeah, that's what I want to do. What else? The input handling as well. Like, if the input handling works, not sure. Like, SDL has its own input functionality, so input handling might just be making a wrapper around what SDL provides. Not sure if you want anything like exceptional from like a third-party library or whatever. But we'll look into that when we get into this. It might also be an interesting idea to experiment with other like libraries that we could provide in Lua. Something like Box2D, for example, right? A physics library that is very optimized, if I remember correctly. Might not be very. I might be over like exaggerating. But it's an established physics library, right? We could give that and bind that to Lua and have people make physics-based games that way, instead of having them code their own like physics functions and collision detection nonsense. What else? Let's write that down first. And we shouldn't really have to specify for like in Lua, because why not give them also the C++ functionality, right? What else? I would like yes, rendering. We now have the singleton class, right? Singleton render should be able to specify the render, right? OpenGL Vulkan, right? So OpenGL, I think it's 4. That's like the most recent version. Let me just check. Latest OpenGL version. It 4.6 seems. Released in 2017, but then there's also OpenGL ES 3.0.6 is the latest version of the OpenGL ES specification. Says, what's the difference between OpenGL ES and just normal OpenGL? What is OpenGL ES? Is that like the compatibility version for like mobile? I'm not sure. OpenGL versus OpenGL ES. What's that? Oh, okay. ES stands for embedded systems, it seems like. So, okay, that's for resource constrained devices, smaller stuff. It might be smart to use that instead of like normal OpenGL, due to us wanting to work on the browser, right? Could be interesting. Might be something we want to provide as well. OpenGL. Then let's do like yes, maybe Vulkan, and also just SDL render, because why not? And then you don't really have to specify like metal. Not that I want to. It's just it came to mind. Because metal is Apple specific, right? That's Apple hardware specific. So no, thank you. Is there anything else? We could, like, I don't know, as just like an exercise, try and add DirectX 12 or something. But even that, come on, that's, I think that's also platform specific, right? So no need at all, I say. Look, let's continue. What else? Rendering is cool. Yes, that's what we want to do. But with rendering, we get 3D support. Yay, awesome, cool. Yeah, so 3D support just speaks for its own, I think. Yeah, but I think that's something that's like realistically only after adding the rendering stuff would 3D support be viable. But it's cool. Now also, what would be nice to like start doing is having automated tests, right? I'm not sure how I would go about like writing unit tests to this. I might just go with like a third-party open source testing library or something, but I do really want to add an experiment with like automated testing. Also, now that I think of it, automated tests, yes, but expand the CMake build files or like build system to more easily build the Emscripten. Yes. Preferably what I'd like is adding a second target, right? That builds mostly the same source files. But if the target is specified when building, what you'd get is just like, no, if no target is specified, if no target is specified, the CMake, like the main CMake file, will ask like, do you want to build for Emscripten or just native, which is cool. And yeah, that way we could we could have like a very easy way of just building for the different platforms at once. Also, I'm thinking find the Emscripten toolchain, and then what else? Ask for the target native web building. Yeah, that's kind of what I'd like to do. We could also experiment with like what Emscripten does is it makes the WebAssembly, right? Could we do something interesting with the WebAssembly there? Maybe WebAssembly to, I don't know, Android, right? To thinking out loud. There's something like the first result on Google is Wasm Edge. Not sure what that is, but I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't know. Could be an interesting experiment. Add more targets. Android, iOS. No, I don't know. Using WASM. Yeah, I feel like that's something we could try. I don't know if it's even possible. But a man can dream. Let's see. I'm still looking through the WASM thingy for Android. So it says that it might be possible using the Android NDK. Not sure. Yeah. All cool and well and awesome and interesting. But let's focus on the more pressing issues. What else? What can we add and do in the coming streams? Because I am going to have a bit more time on my hands. And I want to... yeah, I want to do stuff. I feel like, yeah, just we're missing something very interesting, which is the just make a game and also exports and then re-imports that game, right? Probably very interesting that we can like share our project files, right? Yeah. Let's see. Anything? Because I feel like if we get like some of these done, right? The separation of play and edit modes. Can I do this? No, I can't like move. Dang it. So we get this. Play and edit modes, right? Separate those two. That's quality of life. This here as well. I just take this, do that. That we make the game, we export and then re-import said game. Now that's probably also going to require us to expand on the existing Lua implementation, but let me put that there. Now we're also going to need input handling. We don't need a generic event system for all games. We could just handle that on our own, probably for most games. Like naively for now. What else? Sorry for the siren in the background. Something is happening. But yeah, I think that's kind of the roadmap now, right? Now these two things are kind of similar, right? They have to do with the UI and getting stuff to work. And then this here, the exporting and re-importing of games, that might take a lot of trial and error testing. But not sure. I think we can just start. Like, what is? Let's just think about this here. For exporting a small game, let's say Pong, right? What would you need? Probably kind of everything in your resource folder, right? The resources. Well, not everything, right? Let's say you just add some stuff to resource folder and then you don't use it in game. Resources have a way to by which ones are used. Using that's kind of smart, no? Right, because that one file that we are going to provide is going to have the resources that the other person has made with their game, right, with the engine. So they could have textures, they could have audio, they could have, I don't know, GIFs, they could have videos, they could have whatever, right? Whatever they want to add to their game. But generally, it'll probably be textures and audio, I feel like. Video file, I don't know, that's kind of niche. Especially for something like Pong, right? Like, you don't even need textures for Pong, but let's just say, right? We could also be interesting that if we start having like custom renders, that they have like shader files, right? That they've written custom shaders using GLSL or whatever, right? But yeah, so the resources folder, that has to be in there. And then we need the scripts, right? If any, which probably there will be. I'm thinking now, this kind of clashes with the idea of custom C++ code, right? If it's just scripts, it's kind of easy, right? Because those scripts have to be saved somewhere at least, so we could just copy them inside of our thingy, right? Inside of the folder that represents the game cartridge, let's put it that way. But if we have custom C++ code, I don't know how and like how that should be added. Maybe, I don't know, just encoding the DLL that gets generated for custom code. Yes. It could work, I think. We could find a way to make it work. But if like, is it more of a hassle than like necessary? I don't know. I can't say anything at the moment. Let's see. Think. So for now, let's just say Spark and all the games you make in Spark are just purely Lua based. And if we ever decide to add more functionality like hot reloading of C++ code and stuff, then we do that. Cool, interesting, yes, but not now. Because, yeah, that's hard. And I don't want to think about it currently. So, scripts, if any, right? That needs to be inside of that one, like game cartridge. And then also the state of the scene, right? State of the initial state. Initial state of the scene. That's also very necessary, right? Because you might have the scripts, right? You might have the resources, yes, but if you then try to load this in and your scene isn't the same as whatever is like whatever was expected inside the cartridge, whenever we load this cartridge in, what's going to happen is it's going to search for game objects by name or like by ID or whatever, right? And it won't find them. So initially when loading in, if we have the initial state that's loaded inside of that one cartridge file, what we could do is we just say, like, we clear the scene that the current user has open. We also have to ask them if they want to save, because that's kind of important. But we clear everything if everything is fine. We start with an empty scene. We go over the initial state of the scene first, right? We look at what game objects are necessary, what game objects are linked to each other, what game objects are parented. Like, what's interesting here for us is the scene graph, right? And then the correct IDs and names, because if the user like tries to find game objects by name in the scene and stuff, then those also have to be correct. And now I'm thinking, scene graph, yes, but also any and all components that are attached to game objects. Oh, this is getting this is getting a bit more complicated than I initially thought. But yes, game objects and their components. This is easy, right? So, when saving the scene graph, what you do is this could be JSON even, right? We have to have a way to serialize components into JSON in an easy way. And then also settings that those components have, right? Because all game objects have their transform. So in the scene graph, what they'd have is this JSON view or like whatever, right? It doesn't really necessarily have to be JSON, but that's what comes to mind at the moment. You'd have that, and let's think. And yeah, any and all game objects and components should have a way to represent all of its internal state, like all of its relevant internal state. That's, I guess, different from the default. Using JSON, right? It needs to be serialized in one way or another. Let's just say that. Yeah, cool. So then what you'd have is you'd have one file that loads in, right? Goes through the scene graph initially, and does either a breadth first traversal of the scene graph, just creating all the root objects first, and then creating all of their children, right, one by one, and then creating all of their children if there are any. I don't know if that's going to change much in like complexity or whatever. Not sure. But yeah, first create all of the empty game objects with their components, I think. I have a feeling that this loading stuff is kind of going to take a long time. Right? Because there are so many loops in this. You have your transform component, right? Like you create the game object, it automatically comes with the transform component. Cool. But then when you're like instantiating that, and let's say this has like 3 different extra components, right? An image, and then like a script component, and then what else? Like an audio source or whatever, right? What you have then is just this loop that initializes this game object, right? It creates it. The game object is in your scene, and it loops over again the same game object to add its components. And then it loops over all of the settings of the component, right? To like apply those settings to that component, right? Or the component class could have like a way to like serialize and then deserialize function, like a base function that takes in a JSON string, and then what our load function does when loading this game cartridge inside of the engine, what it would do is it would just paste in the JSON settings for that component, and then that does everything it needs to do. I don't know, that could also work. I'm not sure though, that's the issue, right? This is something we are going to like experiment with a lot, and I want to do this on stream, so that like, because this is like one of the core functions of this engine, that like this is the selling point, right? We want people to be able to create their game, export this game cartridge, right? And then I don't know, give that to someone else, and they just load up their browser. They get that game cartridge, just load that in, and then bam, they just play the game that somebody else, I don't know, in a different country, like 5,000 miles away, has created, right? With the same resources, with the same scripts, with the same like everything is correct. And this is a very interesting serialization problem. So but yeah, that's cool, that's interesting, but it's in the future. But it's cool. I find it very interesting. Yeah, I have some scribbles and like some thoughts and ideas on how to do this. But getting to the actual implementation, that's going to be the hard part. So for this, like also like making sure the editor is completely usable, we need to be able to like add or like manage resources, right? Because in the browser version of our thing, of our engine of Spark, there is no way to actually like get into this slash res resource folder. And yeah, like if you don't have a way to do that, then like how are you going to make your game? Like if you want to add a texture, if you want to add like an animation, if you add, I don't know, sound files, you should be able to do that in your browser. But if you can't manage your resources, that's an issue, right? It could be like assets browser or something. I don't know. This could be like a second, like an extra editor UI panel. But yeah, it's I'm not sure. I think that should be relatively simple with ImGUI, right? The only thing is I'm not sure if we can retrieve, like we can retrieve stuff from the resources thing, right? But the web assembly thing, like the web version of Spark and like browsers in general, they do asset loading and like retrieval kind of differently than what native programs do, because it's also like a simulated file system. So yeah, that's also going to be a very interesting research project, kinda. Not really a research project, but yeah, we'll have to see. We will see. What else? Let's see. This is this is just a yapping stream. I'm gonna show the engine working in the browser, like Loth. Because currently it's hosted on a website that is mine, and I don't really want to like spoil the actual link to it. But yeah, let me see if I can hide that even. Can I hide this menu bar? No. Let's see. Seems like it's possible. I press F11. It doesn't do anything. Come on, man. Nope. Let's see. That's not what I want. Customize. And can I hide this? No, it's the toolbar. No. Yeah, I don't know. I can't find it. No. Okay, interesting. Wow, that's weird. I F11 for some reason does not work on an Emscripten window. Not nice. Can I not just do like a full screen? No. Yeah, that's not okay. So let's see if I add like a window capture, right? I do. Oh, this is scary. I not like change into a different screen and then modify different scene? Let's see, it seems like there's a preview window. Preview. Yeah, no. Oh, okay. So if I go into studio mode, and then I think, let's try this out. If I do this, no, you don't see it. Okay, cool. Cool. That's awesome. That's good to know. I'm learning live. Let's see. Sorry. So if I add something, right? If I add a, let's say, a color source now, it adds it to the preview. Yes, that's amazing. You don't see it, do you? Test this out. I don't think you see this, right? Let's see. I'm testing something. Yeah, okay, you don't. But then if I do this, you get, wow, okay, now you see it. Cool. So just remove this. This is just a test. And I am going to add a window capture. Yes, Firefox. Now capture that. Yes, but also wait. So I am going to open this in a new window, new private window, and I go that. No. I Try that again. Here. This is where I want it to be. From here, select this window, this, and then snap it there, and then I do this. So if I wait, let me just check this out. Yes, okay, you don't see this. Okay, cool. Thank you. Good. Yeah, I think I'm fine if I show it like this. Let's try. What do you see? What do you see? Yeah, okay. You only see the window. Cool. So wait, also you don't see me. No. I put you here. Then you see me. Cool. This. And I fade in. Now. Alright. So you see my mouse, right? It's kind of the same thing, right? But it all works in the browser, right? This is Emscripten, right? And if I just do particle stuff, hey, look at that. It works. It's all browser stuff, which is amazing, right? It's the SDL, the Lua, the ImGUI. It makes me. I'm so amazed by this, right? Like Emscripten, this black box that like compiler that does this amazing stuff. It has transpiled, sorry, my engine so it can work on people's browsers. And this makes this game engine very, very, very accessible, right? To, I don't know, like bored kids at school, for example, right? I remember I was bored. I remember not knowing what to do, or like not wanting to do work, but also just I couldn't play games, right? During lessons, because either they were blocked or I don't know, teacher was like patrolling. But this is something productive, right? This could even be endorsed by teachers. This could be like an intro, like an introduction for a kid to tap into their creative but also technical sides. And like getting kids to make stuff like this, that's not very childlike, because like Scratch, while being an amazing platform for people to learn coding, there are also a lot of people that just shrug it off, say like, it's for kids, right? But this could be something like right in between like Scratch and actual, I don't know, Pygame, like coding with that, like making a game with that. Because Pygame then also like requires you to install stuff, like set up this Python, like what do you call it? The packages, like pip install stuff. If there's like kids that don't have, I don't know, they're using a Chromebook, right? Most likely, and they don't have access to like downloading. They don't have permission to download stuff or like install stuff such as like pip and like actual package managers or Python. This is like I think this is like the best of both worlds, right? It's easy to use. It uses Lua, so kind of similar to Python, right? You have your syntax, that's easy. It's simple words, simple functions, start, and then these keywords. But as you can see, like, you can make some interesting stuff with it. Currently, this is just a proof of concept, right? So these examples, don't take them as like, oh yeah, you can only make these things with it. Like, not at all. This doesn't have input, right? It uses this basic mouse position stuff, which is cool, interesting, yes. But what if you could actually like do stuff with the keyboard, right? What if we add networking support to this? What if we, I don't know, add audio, add multi-threading, so stuff is more performant, right? If we get this to become like an actual platform that people can make and share stuff on, then I don't know, that that just that fills me with so much motivation. Like, I want to continue this, but I also have to do research and I have to look into how to do this best, because I do not want to burn out on this, right? I do not want to just keep building and not like cleaning up after myself in my code base, and like, I don't know, have this ginormous pile of code that kind of works, but then also is hard to work with or like expand, right? This here now, what we have is this diamond in the rough, right? It has some basic optimizations that it's missing. It has some functionality that it's still missing, right? And with every stream and with every like addition or like even removal, like cleanup, refactoring, this engine will get closer and closer to something that people can actually use and might even want to use. Because now I'm thinking, and I forgot something. Wait, I am just quickly adding this. Let me do this here. Transition. So we also need a better code editor. That's also what we need. We really need a better code editor, because currently this editing of the script, right? If I go in here and I try to edit this, it works, but there are some caveats. Natively, you can copy and paste. MGUI supports that, but on the browser, it doesn't. So if you were to, I don't know, copy somebody else's code or like copy code from the internet, find a solution, you cannot Control V in here, right? And then, as you've probably noticed, the engine has already like something has gone wrong with this editor right now. Sometimes opening this editor causes a buffer overflow somewhere in the code. I'm gonna have to look into that as well and fix that. So we have a lot of promising stuff in front of us, which is awesome. And it feels good to have that. But we also need to take it a bit slow before adding a lot of features, and make sure that what we are building on is a solid foundation, right? And that's what I want to do behind the scenes. The streams should be these fun, awesome, interesting, cool streams where we try out, experiment, and like add actual functionality that's visible to the engine. But the like in the background, what I should do is improve on what we already have and refactor and maybe clean stuff and like make stuff I don't know, idiot proof, right? Bug proof, like all of these things, right? UI, user experience, quality of life stuff. And having this list that I will for sure expand on with more and more ideas every time they come to me. That's going to give us a mother load of stream ideas and stuff that we can add and talk about, right? Yeah. I've been yapping for about an hour and a half now. What happens if I do this? Yeah, okay, cool. You don't see anything. So yeah, everything works. And look at this. Yeah, everything works. I don't know. You've already seen this. Let me just go through all of them again. Right? It's all cool, interesting, amazing. Then we have the boards that are flocking, and then we have our predators, and then we have our orbiting stuff, the nice particles, squares that are spawning and then getting sucked in. And then we have our particle fountain, right? Amazing, cool stuff. So yeah, this is kind of my I'm back stream, getting back into the like groove of things, getting back to streaming like daily. I'm also trying to make videos on side at the moment. I've made some shorts like as a bit of a marketing ploy, getting people to watch the streams, getting people to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I'm also streaming on YouTube. Hello, people of YouTube. And I'm also streaming on Twitch. Hello, people of Twitch, right? So join me, right? If you ever see this clip, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like support me, and I'll try and make some interesting compilation videos of the progress up till now, right? What I've added, what I've done, what was hard, what was interesting, what was cool, right? What were the next steps? Especially with me being Axiom, right? And this cool character that you're seeing on screen that's following me everywhere, and with like the tufts of hair. I do want to have some more variety in my content too, though, right? So Spark is like this thing that I want to build over time, right? It's not going to happen in 1, 2, 3. But I also want to go into like, who is Axiom, right? What does Axiomium mean? Like, what is it, right? Like, some of you have maybe read my Twitch bio and looked into this, I don't know, this biography that talks about the 119th elements. That's actually not real. Until something like actually gets discovered. But yeah, like getting into like some art and like 3D modeling a bit more, because I've made this character myself, right? This model, this animations, like the rigging stuff, all mine. And then maybe we could also go into some Python streams where we do something with what's it called? With some AI models, right? Some lightweight AI models that do like pose detection with like my bones with the webcam, because I'm moving my hands right now and I have this I don't know, this motivated, this excited expression behind the camera. And Axiom, this guy that you're seeing, that this persona, while it's in his character that he's very unimpressed with most things, he should probably also like have, I don't know, some movement in his eyes, some movement in his glasses or whatever. Could be nice, right? Would be nice. Not could be. Would be nice. I'm 100% sure of it. Um, so yeah, I'd like that, like Axiom, to like my character to move its arms and hands and stuff, all with just what it's seeing on the webcam, just to add some more flair, and then like also adding the chat and stuff on the stream. I could do it right now, but currently I'm not having a lot of chatters, so I occasionally have these spam messages from like bots. That would be no added value to the viewer, but some interesting concepts, like I don't know, some overlays, some thing that like automatically detects the line, like the complete lines of code in the GitHub every time we push. If there are any issues, or like if there are people watching, we could do some interactive stuff, right? I'm a programmer, man. I can do all these things. So yeah, expect a lot more from me, because I am going to do a lot more in these coming months. And that's where I wanna like end this stream. Sometimes I forgot what I want to say. Yeah, that's where I want to end this stream. I'm saying expect more from your guy. Expect more from Axiom. That's me. We'll be doing a lot of more interesting stuff. I'll be working on this in the background. I'll have some silent streams as well, because finding the energy is kind of hard sometimes. Finding this energy is kind of hard sometimes. So maybe some silent streams, some work with me, right? Some interesting study with me kind of streams could be nice. Some more topics to explore besides Spark, and then like having a first, I don't know, release of Spark when it's actually release ready. Could be nice, could be interesting for people to use and abuse, maybe. Try to break, try to make a game, right? Share their creations. Because Spark, before you know it, will become one of the main game sharing platforms. Like, don't you ever doubt that. That's going to be what Spark is. It's going to be like this interesting social media platform even. But I'm kind of I'm kind of spilling the beans here, so thank you for watching. Thank you for being interested in Spark, because you are one of the pioneers in this community. And I leave you, and I wish you a very good evening. I'll see you very soon. See ya.